Hello, everybody, and welcome to our February Q&A for the London Webfest 2021 season. I'm Saul Marin. I'm the Festival Director here at London Webfest. Now, as always, with our Q&As, we'll be talking with some of the best talent on the festival circuit right now. And today's panel is entitled Comedy Producers. We're going to be joined today by producers from web series that have been awarded our official selection in this month's festival. Moderating our Q&A is our guest judge, an all-round lovely man, producer Nick Coupe. Nick's work covers the best of British comedy. He's produced work for Comedy Central, for BBC Three, Channel 4, Hat Trick. I could go on and on. So who better really than Nick to chat with our panel? Don't forget yourselves that you can pose questions to our panels as well. Just add them to the chat. Now, I think it's probably the best time to introduce you to Nick, so you can, get a better idea of the cut of his jib. Nick, how are you doing?
Very well, thanks. Thank you for having me.
I apologise for the introduction. As a British guy, you're just I can't possibly. It's too much. Thank you so much for being a part of this. If you've obviously been watching all the shots, all the official selections, all the web series, music videos, animations. How have you been finding it?
It's brilliant. I mean, it's been brilliant to see sort of creativity coming out of quite a creatively stifled time at the moment. So there's been so much invention in some of the things I've been watching where you suddenly go, hang on a minute, this has all been filmed in lockdown and you haven't noticed until the end of it, which is amazing.
It has made me very aware of what I haven't done in lockdown, where you're like, wait, you've been filming, pre-production, filming, post-production and getting this out into the world. And I was like, I ate some crisps yesterday, so there's the it has been phenomenal to see what you can do with London Webfest. We have a 20-minute window of what story can you tell, and I think we're always surprised by what you can do with such a short window of time. You yourself obviously are a comedy producer. You've done some amazing work for Sky Arts, online TV, and also you've just been recently doing work for audio as well. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, it's been sort of accidental, but good because that's been allowed to happen. It's been a lot easier to record audio than to get a massive shooting crew together. So yeah, for the past year or so, I've been doing exclusively that. So I've been making sort of scripted podcasts as well as sort of funny, factual stuff, chat podcasts and all sorts. So yeah, it's been interesting to pivot to that, but enjoyable and beneficial, hopefully.
Amazing. Well, I feel like I've taken up more than enough time because it's going to be yourself and our actual filmmakers as well. Before I go, though, I just want to say a big thank you for everyone for being involved. And as always, I think possibly the best introduction is to show you a bit of work from our filmmakers. I will see you at the end of all this. Have an amazing Q&A.
Thank you.
Oh, damn this solar-powered neck brace. Anyway, you'll figure it out. Have the best day ever. See ya.
What just happened?
Ash, hey, so you said you knew oh my gosh!
Mel, I'm so sorry, you startled me.
Oh man, you hit me.
It was an accident, I'm so sorry. Oh, let it breathe. Once the pain fades, you'll feel much better. It's actually kind of perfect. It's so easy to live a pain-free life. A little bit of a slap every now and then reminds us how good life is.
He cooked for me, we laughed, danced to the soundtrack of Pulp Fiction. Even did his laundry. I mean, who does his laundry right before?
And I'll execute every motherfucking last one of you!
He was packing.
Verlassen einfach.
Du weißt wohl nicht, was Liebe bedeutet.
Doch, wenn ich dich sehe, dann weiß ich das.
Die Liebe hat mich lang getragen. Doch jetzt fühle ich mich einfach nur leer. Immer wieder kommt er dicht nach Hause.
Fantastic. I'm really excited today. We've got a panel of properly international filmmakers who all have work featuring that we've just seen in this month's London's Webfest, from operatic fish and flamingo cults to bunk bed hierarchy to artistic breakups and prams shoved full of money. Our guests have done it all. So I'd like to welcome them, to bring them into the chat, and to hand over to our panel. I'm going to ask you all to introduce yourselves briefly and to talk a little bit about your London Webfest officially selected series. So first up, in Canada, Lisa.
Hi, I'm Lisa Crawford. I'm a producer from Hamilton, Ontario in Canada. Yeah, I co-created and produced the web series Pink is In. It's a comedy about a woman's prison. It's about this private run prison that has this warden Dungworth, and she is highly organized but yet deeply frustrated because she's just had a lot of budget cuts done. And on the one side, she's got her inept CEO, and the other side, she's got Nicky, aka Top Dog, who most people say run the prison from the inside.
Fantastic. And next up in Australia, Kurt.
Hi, how you going? I'm Kurt Roberts, producer of Dead Centre. Dead Centre is a series about this flamingo cult in the outback of Australia. So just follows the journey of a young girl, Mel. She's trying to search down her estranged brother, and leads her to this town and leads her through all sorts of unexpectedness through the town while she is trying to get roped into this cult, but while she's trying to search for her brother. So there's a lot of little twists and turns. So.
Brilliant. It's creepy and very atmospheric.
Very darkish comedy, yeah. Absolutely.
And in London, but representing the United States, Bianca. Ooh.
Oh.
Hi, Bianca. You seem to be on mute for some reason. I don't know what's happening, but we can't quite hear you.
I didn't know if it was just me.
No, it was. I like that you were doing the thumb signals. Like, great, really lovely stuff. Yeah, no, unfortunately not. Has your Bluetooth disconnected? If we move on to Julia just briefly while we work out what's happening, if you can find, do you have another pair of headphones? Great. We'll see you in just a moment. I'm going to disappear again. I was never here.
So, in Germany, Julia.
Yes, hello. So, my web series is Good Monsters, and it's I created and produced it, and it's about a woman who is robbing her husband's drug dealer, and actually that's then there are going to be 24 really exciting hours where she is finding out in the series, each episode there's one character singing about the big question if love is enough to save someone. And this is a question of the show, and the journey of this woman starts when she's rubbing her husband's villa, and then it's like in this 5 episodes we find out if love is enough to save someone or not.
Big questions. Bianca, do we have Bianca?
Can you hear me now?
Got you.
Yeah, you can. Oh, thank God. Good. So hi, you guys. My name is Bianca Kristeva. I'm a creator and a producer of a show called Art Broken, which is a mockumentary about not so successful artist who finds herself in the midst of a global pandemic and a horrible breakup.
And I was watching it earlier, and you don't even really realize it's a comedy.
No.
Until about halfway
it's
through,
like a
it
real
was
documentary until.
I was like,
yeah. So that's the joke. Yeah, it feels very realistic, but it's all a joke.
But yeah, so I want to open this up to be as much of a chat as possible rather than a structured Q&A. I'm really interested. Obviously, everyone's work, as you saw in that show reel, is so different tonally, style, everything. A lot of them are sort of dramas as well as comedies. There's a lot going on in all of them. I'm really interested with you guys. What excites you about making comedy? Who wants to go first?
If I ever had to choose one genre, I would always choose comedy because, I'd rather laugh than cry. And I know they do say that comedy is one of the more challenging films to make. But when I came up with the idea of Pink is In, I was actually doing a prison scene. I was playing a prisoner, and I said to Caroline, who I was on the set that day, she was playing a prison guard, and I said, we have to do a comedy about a woman's prison. I said, I know there's Orange is the New Black and Wentworth, which is dramas, but I said, let's do a comedy, and because I love comedy because it entertains people, and with Pink is In, we have no political message, even though we have a very diverse cast. But it's all about the entertainment. We just wanted to entertain the people.
What I loved about Pink is In as well, you watch that and you think, obviously, this is an environment where you're going to have all sorts of people thrust together, and you don't have to explain why there are so many different characters. And I think that's why it's
Yeah, that was something interesting. Even though we were on a very tight budget, we actually had 26 cast members. So it was really great to have just showcase so much talent.
Producer's nightmare, but fantastic.
Yeah, I think. I was just going to say, in regards to the comedy, so Benno Thiel, the director and co-creator of the web series, originally this was Dead Center was just going to be more 90% comedy. We had a real humorous in there, but the more we sort of dived into this cult and Outback Australia, and it just, in the more development stages we went through, it started to just sort of reel back the comedy a little bit and add the I guess a few serious points in there just to keep the story driving. But for us, comedy just sort of speaks to a real wide range of audience. It almost speaks to everyone. There's unless you're a complete horror fan of some sort, but comedy really it reaches such a wide range of audience. So that was sort of what kept us wanting to keep adding as many comedy elements. But in this particular series, the comedy were quirky comedy and dark comedy. We went sort of that path with it. So yeah.
The tone is so sort of immediately threatening when you don't know whether to laugh or run away.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and that was sort of how we wanted to set it up. We tried to have as many, well, not tried, but we had a lot of different genres going through it. In the first probably minute, it's very creepy as he's sort of entering the town, and all of a sudden this crazy dance happens. So you sort of, I think, as an audience, it throws your mind a little bit to go, what's going on, which is what we wanted to do. We wanted to keep the whole thing is about, I guess, guessing and wondering what's going to happen, and sort of trying to keep you hanging on for the next episode, I guess. So
yeah. And Bianca, I've ruined it by.
For me, well, I'm a stand-up comedian, right? So that's basically who I am. I live for comedy. I love comedy, and it's my cope mechanism. So I make fun of everything, and this is how I cope with very sad events in my life. So even if I wanted to write something really, really sad, inevitably it would turn into something funny because that's how I cope. So it's not even, for me, it's not even a choice. It's just kind of the faith.
Your default, yeah. And Julia, I mean, obviously there's so many different styles with your show. It's fantastic. You don't know what's going to happen next, but why for you? What was the comedy? Why did you want to include that?
I think it's really nice, even like with painful topics like addiction, or even that you can bring some humor in it, and that it's kind of that you have the opportunity to tell this kind of really, I mean, it's such a destroying thing, addiction. So, but that you can tell it with some humor and with some kind of oddness, and I think it's such a way to show something what you wouldn't like to watch, because you would be so thinking like, my God, if I watch it, I would just love to shoot myself because it's so depressing, So, and that you just got an opportunity with comedy to do I think the humor always helps with surviving a lot. So it's something really, really, it's really, really important, I think. So, and often it turns out, if I write something that becomes like a bit odd or weird, or that I think, okay, this could this is something that you just think about something, how you could tell the story in another way. So, and this is something nice for Germany, or what I think would be nice, just to have more topics like this, topics like painful topics, to tell them in a humorous way. So comedy is something what you need to survive somehow, I think.
Absolutely. We're getting lots of love for Pink is in the comments.
Well, I did share the video in Canada through our social media, so hopefully you got quite a few Canadians watching.
Oh, brilliant. Welcome, everyone. Obviously, it's a properly international panel today. How well do you guys think comedy can translate? Because, you get very sort of, I think people have very firm opinions of what's British comedy or American comedy or German comedy. Do you think that, there's a bit of universality to it, or not?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think comedy is quite universal. But what I have found is, you're right, there's certain words or phrases that might be unique to Australia that perhaps international may not quite get. They'll know it's comedy, but just might sort of not quite always resonate. So so you try and keep it as universal as possible. But generally, if someone's laughing, it's funny. So.
In Canada, what we found is that, I grew up with British humor because I grew up in South Africa, and our writer, Kim, he was actually born in England, went over to South Africa, and then went back to England and actually studied comedy in England. And we were just saying how, you have your British humor and then you have your American humor. But what I really like about Canada is that it's a bit of a blend of the two, and that is what we sort of adapted into our comedy in Pink is In.
Great. And Bianca, you're in London at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a different scene?
I would have to wait for the English audience to decide whether my series is funny. But when it comes to stand-up and comedy that I've done in the United States and I've done in England, it seems to be universal, and it's beautiful time to to do comedy in in 2021, because I feel like because of globalization and because we all watch the similar things, the same TV, and we all have the same understanding what comedy is.
Absolutely. And Julia, do you like English comedy as much as German comedy? Is there a difference?
I love it. It's more. I think it's more sarcastic, and there's this dark humor I really appreciate. And this is something what I often miss in the German comedy stuff. So I really love the British humor. And yeah, I think it's such a cultural thing. Also, what people think it's funny or not. And even if you have this, somehow it can be really brutal. Somehow, some humor can be really like rough or brutal, and what you haven't got in Germany this much. This is more, I always think of Germany is more like yeah, the way they're also like jokes and talking, but yeah, I love actually I love the British humor a lot. So even watching British shows, yeah, comedy shows.
Great. I'm interested in because obviously we're all here as people that have made web series, and I think some of the ambition and scope of some of the shows, Pink is in, Dead Center, Good Monsters, Heartbroken, they could all be TV shows, I think. And is that sort of the aim with a lot of what you're doing, or is there something about creating stuff specifically for online, for web?
I just, if I can start with that, I created a show earlier before Heartbroken, which is called Living in America, which was something like very aspirational that I wanted to turn into a TV show, and I'm in the making of that. But for me, creating a show during the worst pandemic we've ever had, creating Heartbroken truly was just a passion project, just to create something with super talented friends who were, feeling depressed and maybe not so inspired, and maybe we just wanted to create something, and we didn't care what it takes, and we just wanted to be creative because that's who we are as artists and entertainers.
Yeah, with our show, we were very fortunate that during the pandemic, we did get picked up by a local community channel. What they do in Canada, there's a certain amount of money that the CRTC allows them to help emerging filmmakers like myself. So we were very fortunate that during the pandemic, we were picked up by this called Bell 5 TV1. So they gave us some of the money to create the show, but we had to raise up the money ourselves. So we're hoping, we've actually had very good reaction in Canada. We've had even some of the top TV critics in Canada really give us a good review. His name is Richard Krause. So we've actually been getting, our show has just started on Bell 5 TV, and within a month it became the one of the favorites on the channel, on the community channel. So our dream is that one of the bigger networks picks us up and we go into second season.
Great.
Yeah, we with our web series, Benno and I originally wrote an 8-part first season, but as you know, trying to fund these or get money for these sort of projects, it can, what you intend to shoot is dictated a bit by your budget. And we were lucky. We got some funding from the Helpman Academy here, and also the MRC, and yeah, they were great, and that managed to get us to 3 episodes. So the 8 episodes was sort of a bit out of reach. And then again, as we had some really great development support with the MRC, Sandy Cameron in particular, and we just sort of narrowed it down to really fit our budget around 3 solid episodes. We also got a lot of in-kind help from other production companies. So we're really grateful with what we were given, but unfortunately, yes, we do have a broader series for this, and even a season 2. But we've got all the ideas there, but we just concentrate on these 3 at this stage. At the moment, we're just looking to push these through YouTube and strictly as a web series, but you just don't know. I guess, as Lisa said, you get a lot of recognition and other people start having a look, and you just don't know, I guess, who might want to take it further or want to develop it further. And so we're happy. We are, in the back of our minds, prepped if some big company comes along and wants to turn it into a Netflix show or some sort. But we are prepped for that. But otherwise, at this stage, we just really wanted to get it out to the audience via YouTube. So.
Great. And Julia, did you have anything to add? I think because your show was, I thought, so sort of, genre breaking, and you sort of didn't feel constrained to anything. Is that something that you think you'd struggle with more on TV, or? Yeah, this is actually an interesting question. So we will see what's going to happen, because we are waiting for some response about where it's going to be presented. We don't know if, but maybe like a streamer or a broadcaster. So there are some options, but I don't know yet. So and let's see, because there are many options about if we. Of course, there are ideas for a second season, but of course there also would be an opportunity to make a longer show, like longer episodes. So there are kind of different opportunities, and we don't know yet, because we are as I said, we are waiting for response. And and we actually did really, like, we were waiting for, we were thinking about financing or how it could be financed, and then we just decided to do it. Also because of Corona, we just thought we would be waiting for like 2 more years until we would get a green light, and I don't want to. This is something we didn't want to do. Wait, and so we just did it. Amazing. And I think all of your films don't feel, a few of you have mentioned about budgets and that sort of thing. I don't think any of them feel like they were constrained by a certain budget. They all look exactly, to me, how I think they're intended to look. What do you guys find? What's the biggest struggle when you're trying to make shorts or web series? Beyond the inevitable having enough money to turn a camera on. Is there anything in particular that any advice you could give to anyone watching who's trying to produce something on a bit more of a shoestring?
One of the advice I got from somebody, they always said, try and work within your budget. Don't do something that's a script that's a sort of $1 million script and you've only got $10,000 to shoot it. But in our case, one of our biggest challenges was the fact that we had 26 cast members. And these were all union actors, but we were very fortunate with our union that you can get a sort of discounted rate. So we were able to do that, but it was a bit of a challenge for me as a producer. It was quite a challenge knowing that you had to work in this tight restraint, because we also had a tight schedule, so we couldn't even have rehearsals, which is also because of COVID-19. So basically, all the actors just had to come and give their best performance on that day, and we managed to do it. And one of the biggest things with our show, we had such a magical feeling on the show amongst the cast and crew, and everybody was just so happy to get out of lockdown for a moment to shoot the film. But yeah, that budget is, I would have loved to have had maybe even 5 times more of the budget that we shot it at.
Mm. Yeah, I think for Dead Center anyway, we budget, unfortunately, it's probably the last thing people making a series of any sort want to hear. But yeah, that's crucial. Unfortunately, you need, I guess, some sort of funding or budget to be able to make these things. And I guess for us, we tried to pull in as many favors as we possibly could, because we actually Dead Center, our location, we're off location. We found this old abandoned town, and they run tours through there. It was actually, so we got really lucky, and we just had to, you just sort of got to try and, I guess, negotiate and try and get things that, again, can work within your budget, and then you really just got to plan and organise around that. But it's pulling in, I guess, favours and asking people and getting the right crew. Crews, get the right crew, which we were extremely lucky. We had a brilliant cast and crew. We're a little bit the same as Lisa. We had a lot of extras. We had 5 main crew, but we did have a lot of extras in there. So, but yeah, we had an extremely great crew, and that makes everything able to stick to plan and stick to budget because everyone's working so coherently. So we were also probably lucky. We managed to just miss COVID. We got all this done right before, so we were able to do rehearsals and plan it really well. And something like what we did really needed that because it was a lot of night shooting, so it had to be timed, and yeah, there was a lot of different moving parts. But yeah, so a lot of that it comes down to planning. If you're doing these sorts of things, for us anyway, it's just planning to the minute detail, so that hopefully when you get on set, everything's runs as smoothly as possible. And we'll just say on that, the day before we went to shoot, and these are things you just don't expect, but the day we went to shoot, well, the night before, I got a phone call from the owner of this town, and they had a fire go through it. So we'd had everything planned, and yeah, they had a fire. Luckily, it was just off to the side. You can actually see it in the web series. We actually worked well for us. We worked it into the script and worked it into the show. So, but that was one of the things that everyone was rocking up at 5 a.m, and we got the phone call the night before that they weren't sure. So we rocked up. There's fire trucks there, but those are things that you just again, you just got to try. You can't plan for, but luckily the crew and everyone was so well prepared and cast that we're able to push through. But, so that's the one thing, the preparation.
Yeah, the location for Dead Center is worth a watch alone. It's fantastic, amazing.
It's
really
actually haunted. It's actually a haunted town. So
really?
we were shooting at night. I think everyone was sort of a bit uncertain what was going on, but what might happen. But yeah, it's actually they run ghost tours there. So yeah, it's a unique town. It's a really unique place. So, yeah.
I would just piggyback on Kurt when it comes to giving advice, producing something during these times. I think it's favors like have cultivate these relationships with fantastic directors, DPs, editors. Those people will save your ass. I mean, at least it happened with me and my project. I mean, if it wasn't for all these talented people, it would have never happened. So I just, if you go to film school, for instance, for those of you watching, and, your teachers are saying those things like, make friends, these people will stick around forever. They are right. Yes. Just cultivate these relationships and be kind and nice so people like you, so they want to work with you.
Good advice. Oh, we've had a question. Yeah, what are people doing for their next project? Has anyone got anything lined up?
We've got a Christmas movie that we're trying to pitch and do this year. I've never done a feature film, so we're hoping to get this. We managed to secure the rights for this Christmas film, which is also a bit of a comedy as well. So we're hoping to get this one financed and film it this week to be released for Christmas later this year, and it's called The Christmas Tree.
Great. Look out for that. Anyone else? You haven't got anything lined up?
Well, as I said earlier, Benno and I, we're developing this Dead Center, so fingers crossed we can further that into a second series. So we're just at the start of that process. There is another web series that I'm in very early development for. That's an animation. So that's around the Bondi Beach and a Bondi cruise. So yeah, but that's very early development. So yeah, there's a couple of things. But Dead Center is probably the main one that we're trying to develop and see how far we can take that.
Julia, what's next?
Well, actually, we're still really busy with this show.
Yeah.
but yeah, maybe about like a second season, or there are ideas for that. So still writing on that. But yeah, let's first see what's going to happen out of this.
One thing at a time. Yeah. Bianca, are you?
I am actually I'm developing the show I did last year, I believe. I'm turning it into like half hour for TV right now. So yeah, I'm working on that. It's a lot of work.
Brilliant, lots to look out for. It's obviously it hasn't been the best year for the film industry. I'm interested, how's that affected your work? I'm amazed that so many. I know, Kurt, you filmed just before sort of COVID, but I'm amazed that so many of you managed to produce something in this time. How's the last year affected you, and what do you think audiences will be looking for, particularly from comedy, coming out the other side of this?
Well, for us, when we had just finished, we created a teaser back in, filmed it December 2019, and then we were pitching it, and I said to everybody, I'm hoping for us to get a deal by March, and then March came and COVID hit. So we went into a lockdown, but I said to Kim and Caroline, I said, let's take this advantage this time. We all in a lockdown. Let's work on the script so we're ready when COVID is over, we can do the series. But we were very fortunate to be picked up during the series by Bell 5 TV1. And then we had to wait till they opened up. And then eventually we had an opening in September. We managed to film it and have it delivered in December. So it's basically, I'm a very positive person. So even though things were really tough and people were going through a lot of mental health issues during COVID, I kept saying to everybody, let's use this time and just focus on our show. So it was tough. Even filming was a little tough. It was we were in uncharted waters, but we managed to get through all the new protocols and film it.
Yeah, I hate to sort of say, we, again, being in sort of South Australia, we kind of didn't, didn't experience COVID to the extremity that some places have. So it, fortunately, it kind of worked in our favour, because just as we shot it, the little bit of lockdown that we had, that our editors were in the edit suite, so it sort of helped us a little bit because they couldn't go anywhere. We were able to lock them in a room. They couldn't escape. So they were able to sort of really get into it. So we were, I guess, lucky in that way. And like I said, prior to that, we were able to, it was sort of business as usual for pre-production. So yeah, I guess coming out the other end, wanting to try and premiere any of this sort of stuff, that's probably been the only hiccup. You can't get people in cinemas. We're starting to obviously be able to do that now, but yeah, we unfortunately or fortunately, however you want to look at it, we you sort of word it for us, we're able to do all the post without too much drama. So
Julia, I don't know how affected you're in Berlin, are you?
Yes. Yeah.
So has it been?
Yes, somehow I think, of course, it's of course it's a big. It's I think it's difficult for everyone, but it shows us that we need we need to produce a lot of more stories, because we need something to. I mean, stories also mean hope for people who are who can't go out or do anything to. Well, I mean, while this Corona thing, it's just like it shows us somehow how important storytelling is for everyone. So you can, that you can still get some stories where you find some hope in it. And I always think you find hope in comedy. So, but it's so somehow it's affecting everyone, because you can't really work in a proper way, and you have to. I think there is less produced and less jobs and less work, and people are frustrated. So you just somehow need to go on and move on and keep up the hope. So there's no other way. Yeah.
Bianca, what are you looking for coming out the other side of this?
Well, I live in LA, and I remember at the beginning of this whole pandemic, I was giving amazing opportunities and to pitch to studios and and everyone, because everything just happened and everything kind of went to shit. So everyone was like, well, this is great, but we don't know what's gonna happen, and like, you know, we're all kind of on hiatus, and everyone was so confused, and it was very discouraging. But looking at it now, and with like with the opportunity with like streaming services and what's happening, you know, on you know, people are a little bit more addicted to their phones and to internet, you know, which is a bad thing, but at the same time they watch TV more than ever, and all these platforms are running out of content and they need content. So I would encourage everyone to start writing, because these companies are hungry, and they are hungry for new perspectives. And I think it's a great opportunity for people who have great, unique stories right now, actually. And people are actually buying stuff. So as much as it's a bad time, it's also a, you know, opportunity.
And I think that's something, I don't know if you guys agree, but particularly with comedy, that, you know, you don't need the bells and whistles that you need with a big drama. Like, if something's funny, it's funny, and it will translate whether it's filmed on an iPhone or an amazing HD camera. We had a question come in on Twitter. What has been the biggest learning curve working on your show? Was there anything? I mean, obviously, you know, I don't think was it anyone's first production of this scale, or is it?
Yeah, it was probably this scale. It was probably for myself. I guess what I learned was don't shoot at night with a large cast and crew in the middle of nowhere. It's it can be difficult, but no, I learned to trust the cast and crew was the big thing, and just know that the process you put in place in pre-production, once you get to the shoot, it works out, and you sort of trust that the people you've got in there. And again, the director Benno was brilliant. He helped a lot with some of the people he wanted to work with as well. So once we got there and started shooting, the process, it just started to click together. So it's just trusting the processes was more it. And there's always going to be obstacles, and that's probably the other thing to learn is nothing's going to be perfect. Nothing's going to work out how you think it should, because you've done all these planning. Things just happen, and you've just got to roll with it and try and problem solve. So unfortunately, yeah, that's some of the things that just went with it. So yeah.
I got into filmmaking very late in life. I only did my first films in 2018. They were just short. So this was the first web series that I did. One thing I did learn is that you cannot do it alone. You have to, it's a teamwork, and people have to sort of put their egos aside and work towards the project. That's what I've always realized. And also it's important that everybody gets on well together. You know, if you have somebody who's a bit of a stickler, I would say, you know, sometimes you do have to, especially as a producer, you do have to make tough decisions and sometimes remove that person, because you want everybody to work as a team. And I always say it's like a clock, you know, with all those gears, everything just has to work perfectly to make the production work.
Julia, what was your anything that you wish you'd known at the start of the process?
Yes, I think, and there are a lot of situations like popping up where you're just thinking, oh my God, how am I going to handle this? And this actually also, and you are so astonished and amazed about all the people they're working with you, and you just fall in love with all of them because you couldn't do it without them. And then they do stuff that you think, oh my God, this is so, this is something, this is always this teamwork together with the other, like if you create this project together, it's just like such a nice experience. And even like if you got a good if you trust each other and got a good like a good team, or then it's even if shit happens, somehow it's possible to find a solution. And even about low budget, you find often, if you haven't got enough money, there often are some ideas are popping up what you maybe wouldn't have had if there would have been more money. So this is also a good thing about low budget, actually. But yeah, so I would yeah, of course, there would things differently, but there's always a learning process. So yeah, it's it was such an experience.
Bianca, it wasn't your first time, but
Julia was talking about how it is so creative to work with small budgets, and I just want to say she's so right. There's so many things you have to truly be creative when you don't have the money, and I really appreciate it with my project. We actually did finish the entire series, you know, which I haven't done before. Before I would do like a couple of episodes at the show and hopeful to get a deal. But this time I was like, okay, this is it. I want to create an entire show, you know, 7 episodes, and I didn't realize what a it was quite challenging, you know, and then we didn't have the money, and then we had to be all creative, and just like Kurt was talking about, trusting each other in the process, trust your crew, pick people, you know, that you can trust. I think it's just, I've learned a lot about trusting people and getting things, and what it takes to get things done, truly, you know.
Yeah. And always take breaks. I think sometimes if you're shooting low budget, it's like you also we have to run through this, you know, and then it's somehow it's always like because everyone wants to run through this, but to work and work and work, but then finally in the end you find you're so exhausted because you think, okay, I really need my in between. I need my breaks that I don't get insane because I mean, it's nice if you're obsessed with a project, but you still should take breaks, actually.
It's so great to hear everyone talking about collaboration as well, because I think it can be such a sort of ego-driven world sometimes. And, you know, I think all of your productions have such amazing performances, I think, at the heart of them as well. Lisa, obviously, it's a massive ensemble, but I loved the chief warden, just her exasperation and how scared she was of the people that she was meant to be looking after. Kurt, I completely believed. I was as terrified and confused and trying to wonder what was going on as your lead actress. Julia, both your double act's fantastic. That you really complete odd couple that you'd never imagine being in the same neck of the woods. It's fantastic. And Bianca, just following the artist's revelation as you go is sort of, it was a real journey led by really believing that in that performance. How do you find that process of casting? Is it something that you sort of, did you have people in mind before you started the process, or was it a case of reimagining depending on who you ended up casting?
In our case, we kept all the people that created the teaser for us, and most of us, even myself, my film school was doing background work as a background extra, and that's where we were able to, the three of us, Kim, Caroline, myself, and even Darren, we were actually all met doing background work in Canada. And so when it came to the show, when we had the teaser, actually, we did have another woman in mind for the warden. And at the last minute, she called, she said she couldn't get off time at work. And my friend Darren, who's been in the theatre business for so many years, and I said, you know, do you know anybody to fill in? And in 15 minutes, he got on the phone to Ellie Ray Hennessy. She's a very well-established Canadian actress and voiceover. She's actually one of the voices of My Little Pony, and she was willing to come down and help. And what I learned was that even some of these really top actresses and actors, they will come help small little independent productions. So Darren is the one that he did all our casting, and so he managed to cast some of our lead roles. And as I said, because we were union, we were able to get some of the good talents, but at a lower rate.
That makes sense. Bianca, how was your casting process?
Well, you know, in the past, as a comedian, I'm a stand-up comedian. I tend to cast comedians because I create comedies and it's super easy. So that usually I usually write my projects. So, you know, actually me as a producer, when I decide to produce something, it's usually my thing that I wrote, because I know how much work it is and how much, you know, how much it takes. So I usually write for the people, you know, I usually think of the people as I'm writing, and then I cast them as I, you know, so it's like that.
And Kurt, again, like with Lisa, you had a big ensemble.
Yeah, we the only character or cast member we, I guess, knew from the start was Solomon, played by Lockie. Benno, we worked with him on another production, on another short film, and he was, the role almost got written just for him. So because he just plays such a unique character throughout the web series. So and that's sort of what we're after. And Mel and Ash, we did a casting, we did some auditions, and we thought we had an idea, but then as it happens, you come across other people, and they just, you know, blow you away with what they can do. So so for Mel and Ash, it was they just sort of really stood out with what we're after, and even on the day, and Benno took control of a lot of what he was after. He knew exactly what he wanted, so which was great. And on the day, they gave us performances that again Benno was able to draw out of, and we thought, wow, we didn't see that, and luckily a lot of that was captured on camera as well. So there was a lot there where almost sort of creeped us out a little bit, because we didn't know that was in them, and it just brought so much more to the story. It was, and I mean, a good creep. It was real, because it worked well with the story. So so we got really I wouldn't say lucky, but we were extremely grateful for the two leads in that one. Absolutely, they were excellent. And as far as the and then we just with the dancers. So we got a choreographer in to sort of come in and choreograph all that, and I think she brought all her dance crew with her. So we got lucky with that as well. It was didn't have to, and we had a few friends come in and sort of learn a few of the tricks of the trade in there. So so we got, again, it's all about I guess, and Bianca said earlier, just trusting and getting to know your crew and cast, and then calling in some favours, and we're lucky.
And Julia, obviously you needed actors that could be funny and dramatic and also sing. How was that?
That's it. Oh yes, I was when I was writing the script, I had all these guys in mind. So, and luckily they all said yes, because I was a bit panicking when I was sending it to them, the script, and I said, oh my god, if they don't want to do it, because I had them totally while I was writing it, I thought of all these actors and actresses. They are in the parts, and and luckily it worked out, like, for even with the singing for everyone, because we didn't of course but of course I thought they could all could perform the songs really good, and they actually did. And I had such a great composer. She we together, we kind of wrote the songs, and she composed them, of course, and it was actually with this, this topic about is love enough to save someone. So it's something like the heart of the show, like this question, like following it. So, and I like it. It's somehow melodramatic and somehow also funny. So so it's a weird thing, but it's really I think it somehow gets the point, actually.
Brilliant. We've got about 5 minutes left, and there's been so much advice that it's been fantastic to hear from you all, and coming from such different places and different styles. If you had one bit of advice for a budding comedy producer, what might it be?
I would say you need a strong script. This is one of the things I learned, that you need a good writer. I have to say that Kim, our lead writer, has been amazing. He's trained. He's actually went on courses to take writing courses. So I think having him write this beautiful script was really easy for our director like Erin and our cast to make it become a reality on screen.
Yeah, I agree. The script's one of the main ones, but you also need, I think, a good director that's able to get that comedy on screen as well. It's you've still got to find, the right, and you need your actors to be able to get that comedy interaction as well. So there's probably 2 or 3, but yeah, script's the main one. If you don't have a good script, then you're not able to get the right actors to be able to put that on screen, but and be able to get all that molding together. So,
Bianca, what was your one bit of advice?
Well, I just think for someone who's starting out, whatever you do, finish it. Just if you're starting it, finish it, and then you learn from your mistakes. Don't give up on it just because it's not exactly what you thought it would be. It probably won't be. Just like get it done, and then move on to the next project. Always finish everything you start.
And Julia?
Yes, and it's a lot about timing, actually. But yeah, it's a lot about timing, and this is not about and this is actually the funny thing that that you don't overact or something, that you just take it really serious. Actually, it's a really serious. You just take it really serious, and it's just about and then somehow because of the situation, it gets like weird or funny, and yeah.
Hi guys, I'm here to ruin your fun. I can't say enough how much it's been enjoyable just to sit back and, rather than moderate, which is the hard job that Nick's been doing, I've had the privilege of literally just as a producer myself sitting back and listening to all your advice. I think the number one thing that I've taken away from this was something that Julia said, which was always take breaks. Whether you're a producer, whether you're a director, whether you're a cinematographer, DOP, if you're an actor, like especially with smaller budget works, always take breaks. They will always be appreciated by whoever's involved. I want to take a second just to say a big thank you to being involved, not only with the Q&A, but also being part of London Webfest. We are blown away every month by the talent on show, but to have 4 producers of web series that in their own right are just phenomenal, just amazing work that is testament to your dedication, testament to writing, to your production skills. We're just thrilled to have you on board. If you could all stick around, and I'll talk to you in the green room in just a second. Now that we've had an hour to get to know you all better, I think showing the clips from before, people can attribute that to your work. But I will speak to you in just a few moments. Thank you all. Thank you, Nick, for being a fantastic moderator. And I'll speak to you just a moment.
Oh, damn this solar-powered neck brace. Anyway, you'll figure it out. Have the best day ever. See ya.
What just happened?
Ash, hey, so you said you knew a... Oh my gosh!
Mel, I'm so sorry. You startled me.
Oh, man, you hit me.
It was an accident. I'm so sorry. Oh, let it breathe. Once the pain fades, you'll feel much better. It's actually kind of perfect. It's so easy to live a pain-free life. A little bit of a slap every now and then reminds us how good life is.
He cooked for me, we laughed, danced to the soundtrack of Pulp Fiction. He even did his laundry. I mean, who does his laundry right before?
And I'll execute every motherfucking last one of you!
He was packing.
Verlassen einfach.
Du weißt wohl nicht, was Liebe bedeutet.
Doch, wenn ich dich sehe, dann weiß ich das.
Die Liebe hat mich lang getragen. Doch jetzt fühle ich mich einfach nur leer. Immer wieder kommt er dicht nach Hause.
Folks, that has been another amazing Q&A for the London Webfest. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much to our panel and to our guest judge, Nick Coupe. Don't forget that you can join us next month for another round of Q&As. If you have a short film, a web series, animation, music video, anything at all, then submit it at www.londonwebfest.co.uk or on filmfreeway.com/LondonWebfest. If you want to know more about our current set of official selections, you can follow us at instagram.com/LondonWebfest. It just remains me to say thank you so much for being a part of this. Thank you so much for joining us and for contributing to the filmmaking world at large. We'll see you again next month. Take care. Bye-bye.